Hello and welcome to Lord Fenton Gaming review and progress of the Bard's Tale Trilogy Remastered. I am your host Lord Fenton. In today's review of the update of the Bard's Tale Trilogy Remastered, we are going to review Bard's Tale 2. So let's get started on that. First off, when you go in the game, you can also transfer your characters. Here's the thing about that. All you have to do is just log into Bard's Tale 1 and hit begin volume 2. It gives you two options: begin overpowered or reset your character. So you can begin as is if you're like level 50 plus, you go in Destiny Night. If you reset, you'll reset. So either option's great, to be honest with you. More options the better, and it's a lot more easier. In other games you have had to probably put in a certain save file, you have to get rid of certain items. Now the thing about the transfer over is some items will not appear. For instance, the shapes and the master key obviously will not appear. Stuff like the spectre snare and your horns will definitely appear, and all your spells appear too, and spells are even in Bard's Tale 2 that's in 1 too. That's a real nice option, so that's real good to me. Let's talk about the introduction. I'm gonna be honest with you, I absolutely love it. I seriously love it. So all I'm gonna do is tell you that right now. All it shows is a hero going to an altar and forming a piece of the Destiny wand together to become the Destiny Knight. See, watch. Clank. And he's OP'd. And that's what it's about. This game is getting the Destiny wand pieces and defeating the next baddie, another Archmage. So far so good. They are doing a great job of this game. And this just tells you a story again like before, but it's written in a letter. And it's really good. They did a good job of the game, the developers, to remaster it. And I love it because it makes you feel like you're really in the story. And the enemy this time is Largoth Xanta, and you gotta go through a lot more tougher things. Yes, this game is tougher, and even your melee fire style was easy last time. No, you have to develop to hit weapons and such. And there's also good features too. Rogues got upgraded with the traps. If they're over 100, they automatically disarm, which is great. So let's get into Kaith for more. Alright, so once you're in game, it's just like the normal adventure guild. So you just enter the city and you should be ready to go. I mean, it's really easy. The same features are there from the first Bard's Tale game that they remastered, which is real nice. You can even rename your party. You can even rename a party member. That's new to me. I didn't see that before. So now you just name your party, which I call KT Busters 2, which is a real nice option to do. I mean, they kept the good, most of the good in there. They did some changes to developers to make some of it tougher. So, for instance, you cannot go all out. And look, I transfer all my characters there, right there, from the first game, right? And it doesn't even show the to hit, so it looks like I got a long way to go for that. So they did a great job with that. And all your spells do transfer over too. That's what's great about it. And all your items too. There was a change though. The Luck Shield, unfortunately, the wizards cannot equip, so I had to switch them out for that. But still, it's all good. Another improvement they did was they changed instruments and stuff. For instance, they had the instead of like a frost horn, now you can have frost drums, frost lutes, and such, which is real good. They also added dices too. Only disappointment was they still use the portraits from Bard's Tale 1, but some of the portraits in Bard's Tale 1 are pretty good, especially the remaster with the females, which they did a great job on. So overall, transferring into the game and seeing what the results are very good. So let's go explore what's new and what's not. Alright, first up, they still have the credit thing, which is real nice to have. I mean, of NXL and those involved with the remake, like the Chrome Studios, which is real good. I mean, it's real nice. It also has Michael Cranford, who originally written the game too, and then the 2016 remaster work they were about to do. So they give everybody credit still in that. So kudos to everybody who got involved in that part when they entered the building. So I think next up is, after reading credits, is Garth's. Yes, unfortunately Garth looks the same. In the original one, he was more Arabic. Unfortunately, they didn't do that route. That was my disappointment so far when I first entered the remaster of Bard's Tale 2, is that. But good news is where items you sold in 1 is in 2, unless you expert over with a total wipe. So that's good on them, they did that. Next up is the tavern. Unfortunately, it's the same. And little's done to it besides paying for information and getting your bar drunk. Because they need their voice back. That's the only disappointment though. I was disappointed that, again, she had a different picture of the tavern keeper. But things happen, but oh well, let's move on. Next up, they added something new. Because in the older games, Largo Xantha stole all the casino chips, right? They added another way to make money, which is playing blackjack. If you save scum a lot, and you get the winning hands to keep on doing that, yeah, you eventually get some nice starter money for spells and stuff. So instead of doing dungeons and you're worrying about losing money from resurrections and stuff, well, you just gamble. And they did a great job of doing blackjack, so kudos to the developers for adding this nice mini game into it. That's right, you gamble, make money, and if you're lucky, you will do real good. And I love it though. I mean, they did a great job of that. So let's move on to the next improvement. Alright, the next improvement, they didn't do much in the temples. It's the same thing. I'm disappointed on it. Wish the priests looked a little bit different. Next up is the bank. Originally in the original, what do you call it, version of the game 2.0 is just dropping off money. Then the developers added up to 100 items, and they cut it to 20 because of balancing issues, but still 20 items is enough. And the one thing, that's what's great about it, was the developers kept on improving stuff like that. I mean, at certain points of the game, you'll see that in the latest edition. Now, I didn't show in this part of the video, but still I want to tell everybody about that, but they did a great job of the banks overall. Next up is Roscoe's. It's still the same. He does not even recharge spell items and such, which is a disappointment. But still, he does the same thing. So let's move on. Alright, the next up is the review board. It's about the same with leveling stuff, except for with one difference, it's getting the Archmage class. If I remember right, you need to have all 4 caster levels at 7. And once you do that, you pick the Archmage. It's one of the most powerful classes of the game, and it is required to beat the game. They have some great spells like Melee Man pulls people forward, to the Mama spell that destroys everything, to Heal All, which heals everybody and resurrect everybody with full hit points, which is a great thing. Yes, they are powerful and nice. Only thing I didn't like was the male Archmage photos versus the ladies, which they did a great job of. Next up is the towns. Here's the starter town that they did. They kept everything like the original. And there's the Dark Domain, then Epis with the Scarlet Bard. I'll touch more on that. And there's a dungeon here too, which they did in Philippi. There's 2, including Sardon's Workshop, which is new, and Dragot's Tower. So overall, they kept everything mostly the same. I gotta give the developers kudos to that. Colossi, which is the Destiny Stones there too, which I say they did a great job of that overall. And Cornith, of course, is the Oscon's Fortress, which by the way she used for leveling and grinding for items too, which is great. And Thessacon, that's the Maze of Dread, which they did a great job of that. So everything they kept the same in the towns. And of course, the only difference of the town again was the Sardon's Workshop, which related to a quest now. You get that in there, Fanskar's Fortress, and the Grey Crypts in there, and plus the Stupid Sage. Let's talk about the dungeons. They are tougher. The starter dungeon gives you a nice remedial course, but yeah, you could get your butt kicked right away. You need to grind on each level for a while to get 1 or 2 spell class change. You have to, but the rewards are worth it. Bring 6 people only though, because you're going to need a winged creature for 1 level to get probably level 4 to save the princess. So this is a great remedial dungeon. People say you should skip it, but to me, no, don't skip it, just do it. It's a great dungeon and it's fun. Real quick about other things I did learn, rogues can now disarm traps at 100% automatically. So if you level in Dark Domain O level, which is really nice, that's a quick tidbit I want to tell about the Dark Domain. It's pretty good overall. I love it. It's great. Let's go figure out what's next. Next up is the Tombs. It's your first real Death Snare dungeon. Yes, now from here on out there's Death Snare as a dungeon, Unfortunately, the tombs look like the same in the department. They dropped the little ball in that, but the tombs overall the design they kept the same, and it's great. So yeah, it's very fun, the tombs overall. So let's talk about the next one. On the dungeons I'm going to talk about is Fanscar's castle. This wasn't a bad castle at all. It was more of like a pit stop dungeon with the second snare in it. I mean, Fanscar was fun to kill because he was the dude that had like 2 of the Archmage spells, which was really nice. But still, it looked the same as Harkin's castle. I was a little bit disappointed in the reused assets, but again, it was a fun dungeon overall, especially the snare. Snare was easy, but it was more of a break. Other than that, if you want to farm for stuff real quick, farm by the stairs after you did what do you call it, the tombs, yeah, this is a good dungeon for it. I mean, it's overall a fun dungeon to go through that's very short, so kudos to that. Next off is Dragoth's Tower. This one was tougher, but it was much more better than the towers in Bard's Tale 1. Looks like Kylander's Tower in design. However, the layout was pretty fun and neat, and there's like 1 or 2 things you need to do that'll affect the other dungeon. Yeah, the Sword of Zar, you need to defeat the stone gnomes for that and complete the snare. You can even optionally kill Dragoth, which is a blast. Overall, this was a good dungeon. I loved it. Next up is the Maze of Dread. It had a dreaded puzzle in it. The dungeon itself wasn't bad. It looked like it was much more original. I loved it overall. I had a blast doing it actually. And it was very fun though. I mean, it even got to a point when I did the snare, it was a little bit harder, but still things started to get tougher from here on out. So as you see with the magic floor and panels and stuff and traps, which they did a great job of. Ozcon's Fortress. This has the tripwire, which was dangerous. It was a very dangerous dungeon, but at the same time, you want to grind for stuff. This is a pit stop for experience and drops. You do it at the entrance. Now be careful, the developers might nerf it. If this happens, just walk around the stairs and just grind. But overall, this dungeon was great and fun. Even the snare was a blast. And killing Ozcon was 100% worth it. Even though he's optional, but it's more story related. Let's go to the next one. The dreaded Grey Crypts, the anti-magic dungeon. No magic is allowed. Only way out is through the snare or getting to the entrance. This was a brutal dungeon. The snare was alright, but I want to get out there quickly. That's right, this dungeon is seriously dangerous. I mean, anti-magic, you cannot even do anything. Yeah, so bring some to hit items in order to get into it and pass it. It's not bad, but it's very challenging. The last dungeon was the Destiny Stone one. This one was tough overall because you need your spells, you need your wits, you could run away from foes, but bad news about it is this is like a one-way trip. Again, you need to either walk to level 1 or get to the snare and beat it. That was the only bad part, but it has the best drops in the game, including the no spin ring, which is great. Next up on the list we're going to look at is, I think, Outside. They did a great job of it. If you look at it very closely, you can zoom in, look at the blade of grass, look at the flowers, look at the trees. It does not wrap around. That was the only bad part, but the good part was it felt like it was a real world to explore. It beat the living snot out of just staying Scarab Bray, which overall they did a great job of it. So this was like your main hub just to get to other towns and such. Yeah, see the butterflies and flowers? They did a great job over it. Bravo, Chrome. Let's talk about the next subject. Next subject is the Scarlet Bard. That's right, they give Bard's Tale new songs, so if you transfer all new, you keep the Bard's Tale 2 songs, you have to go him for 1. And if you transfer OP, you have to get the Bard's Tale 2 songs from him, which was real bad, but once you found him, it was great. Now the latest patch added another song, but it was from Bard's Tale 3, Watchwood Melody. So they stuck that in there so you could pay for it. Cost 10k per song to get, but it is all worth it. I'm just showing everybody what he could do when he sings and such. It's a little hint, which they did a great job, Chrome, of adding that and adding something for the bards to have. So instead of just the normal 6 or 7 songs they get more options. Overall, it was a great job for that. So bravo, Chrome, for that. to add that in the game. Alright, another feature they did keep in the game, unfortunately, is the Sage, the money vampire. You can also just type in that, he'll give you hints where it's at. Now, some of the hints are great, like the Scarlet Bard, and other times if you type the dark green, he'll say it's the most powerful ever, which is real bad. I do mean really bad. Yeah, they dropped the ball on that with him being a hole, but still, if you want to pay for items and such, you just gotta take caution with that. He even tells you what items are, like the no spin ring. So overall, it depends on if you want to pay for stuff or not. Next up, they added a new dungeon in here. This is more lore related, and also access to the dream spell. Yes, the dream spell mechanics did change, and when they did change, you have to go get the hint from Sardon's workshop and go back to the dungeons they tell you to go back to get the hint together. And you saw 5 passwords. It depends on which order it is correctly. You will get the dream spell. They did a great job with this. It was a nice, easy dungeon to do, and it was more lore related too. There was leading a mini teleport puzzle, which was real nice. Yeah, this dungeon has no immediate danger. All you have to do is solve the puzzle, and then it was all set. So Crumb did a great job of adding stuff like that. In the last game, it was just Longis the Mad. He just gave you hints. Sardon this time gave you more. He even warned you about the death snares in each of the dungeons. Of course, mine's the Dark Domain, which that is just a beginner's dungeon. So overall, this was a great lore and great opportunity to get the death snare behind a quest. So instead of just getting it, now you just got to solve some clues and such and go explore more. So overall, that was a great addition to the game. I loved it overall, so kudos to that. Well, another thing is there's the spells in the game, and I'm just demonstrating the dream spell. The dream spell is one of the most powerful spells in the game. Good news is it nukes, heals you, brings illusions to real, and makes you more armor, AC and such. And the spell is devastating with Mangor's Mallet to add insult to injury. Kills most things easily, except for the last boss fight, which you're going to need for that. What they also brought in the game is the death snares. That's right, the death snares are all back. Difference is if you hover over the skull, there's a timer it actually tells you. I would say before the death snares, or unless you're playing legacy mode, play the original mode first to know the puzzles beforehand, then do the death snares. That's right, the death snares are added challenge in the game, so they did a great job of that. Like this death snare, let's see here, the Tomb's death snare. It's very challenging though. Only gripe I had about those exactly is some of it was repetitive, like you had to do certain things so many times, but I loved it overall. I mean, it added depth, challenge, and the fear of, yeah, you're gonna die. That's right. There was a time puzzle that you had to solve by a certain amount of time. If you didn't solve it right, your characters would die. Next up is the Bard songs. They had new songs. They're all good this time, really good. I mean, most of them, even the Seeker's tune, I love the most, so I'm gonna let them play. Overall, they did a great job of the Bard songs. I love the sound, especially the Seeker's Ballad relates to Bard's Tale 1. It also does the same thing with different instruments too, so kudos for Chrome for bringing that in. Alright, combat and spells. They did a good job of improving that thanks to the Archmage class and thanks to hit and range attacks. Yes, now some items in Bard's Tale 2 in range are very good, like the Sword Czar, my Paladin has, and my Hunter has a deadly ring, so he connects with a deadly ring, somebody's going to die, but he needs a 2-hit, which is very good. And one thing real nice about that is the Mangor's Mallet. This is one of the ones I want to demonstrate everybody for that. It's a real nice spell. It's like Mangor's Mind Blades, but it's 10 times more deadlier, and the range is much more evil. It's even coupled with the Dream spell, which can destroy a lot of things. That's right. If everybody casts that, yes, it's great for grinding stuff, but it costs more spell points. That's the disadvantage of it. But still, it was very nice to have overall. So I want to demonstrate more spells. Not only the spells are useful offensively, also defensively, like Batch spell. That's very useful, the Batch spell. So kudos for that great spell. Even the traps improve. You could trap zap, or if you have a rogue, it's 100% rate. Also, the item drops are perfect in this game, like the no sprint ring, extremely useful to using other items, like for instance the wand segments. One could do batch spell, one could heal, one could nuke. Overall, Chrome did a great job of adding items to make it extremely useful, more than Bard's Tale 1. Let's talk about the negatives. Even with the monsters in the game, some of them are new. They sort of rehashed the older ones. They didn't do anything like that. That was my disappointment, seeing the dragons, seeing some of the old monsters. I'd rather see some of the Bard's Tale edition. Also, the characters like Roscoe, it looks the same. Kind of wish he was new. Including this guy looks the same, which is very boring. I was disappointed in that. I am too disappointed in these temple dudes. They look the same from Bard's Tale 1, which they would look different, and Garth still looks like Garth, which is a disappointment, I hate to say, overall. And also, something to me I was extremely disappointed in was gender. On the Destiny Knight formation, I had Lena as a female, they show a male instead. I wish they would have did that. I was disappointed in that. I mean, I wish they would have did more to that. Next up, I was disappointed was the Dream spell, unless you skipped to the Destiny Stone earlier. This was like a latter game spell. Unfortunately, it was like a late game spell. I wish it was a little bit earlier, but oh well, that's the breaks. So, what's my verdict for the Bard's Tale Trilogy with the Bard's Tale 2 updated? I'll tell everybody despite the negatives and positives, so here we go. Buy it day one! Despite the flaws this game had, I mean, like the same looks, portraits, and towns and such, and the Dream spell being late game, they kept the challenge. It became more challenging and grinding. You just had to pick the right spots. It was not easy at all, but it was more fun. Even the dungeons were great, including the Dark Domain, the beginner dungeon. So I say buy it. I will update the review when I get to Bard's Tale 3. Well, that's it for Lord Fenton Gaming review in progress. This is Lord Fenton signing off. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Laters all.